Good evening, Bears fans. Welcome to Sunday Night Football. Bears Rams on the lakefront. One of the biggest games at Soldier Field in quite a while. So, should be an exciting one. We've been getting ready for it for weeks now, ever since it got flexed to Sunday night. It's been a game that we've all been waiting for. And it's Jared Goff versus Mitch Trubisky. It's Khalil Mack versus Aaron Donald. It's Sean McVay versus Matt Nagy. So it's going to be a fun one, and I've been waiting all day for it. I've been waiting all day for Sunday night, and it's finally just about an hour and a half away. With me today on the show, I got Johnny Hatelak. He's one of my writers on Windy City Chronicle. Johnny, I know you had a post out today on the website. Why don't you share some of the thoughts you had today from the post?
Well, I was just basically trying to give Bear fans a reason to believe. I'm a score guy, so I've been listening to a lot of sports talk, reading a lot of social media. I'm sure the same thing's been on all the sports talk stations, but Bear fans seem to be less than confident in this game for some reason. I suppose the Giants game had something to do with it. There were a lot of things to be concerned with in a Giants game, but I think complacency probably was the biggest culprit there, and perhaps maybe looking ahead. I hate to say that because it sounds like a cop out, but because you shouldn't look ahead, you should take it game by game, especially since you haven't been very good up until this year. So there's no real reason to be complacent. But I think that had a little bit to do with it, and also Chase Daniel had a lot to do with it. So he had an absolutely horrific game. Came back at the end, but his limitations were clearly obvious in that game. But, I just talked about, some of the keys to it. And obviously the Aaron Donald thing is probably the number one thing. I feel like the Bears do have the offensive line and the secondary blocking, which is important. I think the addition of Adam Shaheen, he's a pretty good blocker on the edge. He's become a real good blocker. And Jordan Howard's actually a really good blocker, especially in blitz pickup. So I think it'd be able to help on some of the blocking interior wise, or maybe like if they double team with Whitehair and possibly even Charles Leno blocking down on him, and then maybe having one of the outside guys come around, like maybe Shaheen blocking on the outside with a double team or a chip from Howard or whatever he decided to use as far as the protection is concerned. But I think the Bears are equipped to handle it because they got a very athletic offensive line, probably the most athletic offensive line they've seen this year, I'm thinking, except for Witzman. That's a problem.
Yeah, that's going to be one of the biggest keys is if the Bears can handle Donald, whether it's double teams or traps or whams or whatever Nagy's going to throw at him. Some quick bookkeeping things here. Bears and actives were just announced. A lot of the usual suspects: Tyler Bray, Kevin White is another healthy scratch. Deion Bush is out. I think he was dealing with a hamstring all week. Kylie Fitz, Rashad Coward, Javon Wims, and Nick Williams. So looking at who's on the active roster for today, who's on the 46-man. McManus is back and Cunningham is back, so that's good for special teams.
Huge, yeah.
Bears are going with 4 running backs. So they got Howard, Cohen, Cunningham, and Mizzle. And then they also activated Burton. So maybe run heavy to get the game going, I would think maybe.
Yeah, I'm sure they'll probably want to get the run game going, but that's been pretty much the lineup they've been trotting out there anyway. Except Cunningham was hurt last week. I don't think Cunningham's going to really be doing too much running.
No.
Burton's been in there too. I think they just have for some specialty plays or whatever. I think once they finally do get their feature back, their type of feature back, who knows, it might even be Kareem Hunt. After they give the sob story about him going to rehab and everything like that, and some of the toxicity washes off of him. But or maybe someone in a draft. They got a couple interesting guys that I think the Bears might be able to feature in their system. But I think that's got a lot to do with it. I think it's been no secret that Howard's been kind of slow this year. It just seems like it to me. I don't know if it's just aesthetics, but he doesn't seem like he's got the same explosion through the hole like that one run he had last week where he missed the stiff arm. All I saw was end zone. I'm like, oh, that's a touchdown. And he's dropped. So I think that's got a lot to do with it. That's probably why Mizell's in there. Probably think he's got a little bit more juice, and he's a better pass catcher in the open field, I suppose. He could like juke some guys or whatever, but I think that's just probably got a lot to do with that as far as that's concerned. Howard's probably going to be in it primarily as a blocker in a secondary thing, and they're going to try to run out the clock if they have a lead of any kind. I don't think they're going to feature Howard ever in this offense. I don't think that's ever going to happen. You might see spurts, but I don't think that'll ever be the case. So I just think Howard pretty much is on his way out.
Yeah, we'll definitely see once the season wraps up, once we get in the off season. But I would like to see the Bears get the run game going. The As much as the Rams defense has a lot of playmakers, especially guys in the secondary and Aaron Donald, their rush defense is not as good as many people think. I think they're giving up around 5 yards a carry, if I'm not mistaken.
Yep.
So it's a good reason to get the run game going, and we know what Howard can do in zone scheme. And the Bears have the offensive line, like you said, they're pretty athletic up front, where they can get Jordan Howard some big runs if they handle Aaron Donald and get up to the second level. So I think maybe at the start, maybe it could be start run heavy. Hopefully Mitch Trubisky got all the rust out during this week in practice, but I wouldn't be surprised if he did start a little slow than maybe people want him to. And another thing about running backs, the Bears have used Mizzle quite a lot. I know last year he was around, but that offensive staff and John Fox, really didn't use him as much, or we really didn't know what he was. So he's obviously the better pass catcher than Howard. He had a score last week, so I think he does fit into Nagy's system. Now he's not a Kareem Hunt type or Tyreek Hill type, but I think he's going to be able to give you something, and we'll see what he is today. I mean, maybe it's too much to put like a dark horse tag on him as concerned as much as like the offense, play calling goes and who could be a real playmaker. But I think he's some guy to watch tonight.
Yeah, I think as he gets more games under his belt, learns more of the offense. I think a lot of it's got to do with protections too, and some of the calls that they make, because there's like the run pass options. There's a lot of options in this offense, and a lot of things that change instantly. So I think they want to feel comfortable with him knowing all the options, so they're not left out there holding their huevos, without an answer for a broken play. So I think that's got a lot to do with it. Remember, Nagy said that not all the offense is going to be implemented right away. It's going to be a slow progression. I think they've got the fast track on some of the passing things. That was the number one, which should have been, because Trubisky is your number one asset, and where he goes, we go. So I think maybe next year the running game will be a little bit more fluid. I mean, and they'll be able to do some more things, exploit some more things out of that. But they kind of got their running game today. Mitchell Trubisky, he's pretty much he's a big part of their running game.
Yep.
It's unconventional, but the dude gets first downs. He gets big plays, and I think he's going to put that undisciplined Ram defense in a bad position, because they are undisciplined. They do gamble a lot. They leave a lot of big plays out there downfield, and he could pass downfield too. Chase kind of, flubbing up a couple of passes over there last week. I think Mitchell would have complete at least 3 long ones. They missed 3 long ones last week. Even the one that Tariq caught was underthrown. That should have been a touchdown, should have been in stride. But that's neither here nor there. But I think that's going to be part of the running game, and it probably should be. You worry about the shoulder, but Mitch is going to be Mitch. I don't think you put handcuffs on him. I think you let him go out there, compete, play the way he wants to play. Let him use his instincts, and just go out there and make plays. Just be smart. He knows he needs to be smart. So hopefully his competitive nature doesn't get the better of him. I don't think he's been lowering his shoulder. He's not like Josh Allen, where the dude just comes. He's coming in at you like he's Saquon Barkley, trying to jump over, run through you. He doesn't really do that, so he is pretty smart. And I think that that hit he took was a cheap hit. It was a late hit, obvious late hit, and it should have been called, but it wasn't. And those are going to happen. You can't prevent that. A cheap hit is a cheap hit, no matter what you do. So I just hope that they take the reins off and let him do his thing, and that's going to really cause conflict for the Los Angeles Rams, and they're going to have to think twice about it. And it might slow Aaron Donald up too. He's like, oh, wait a minute, should I go right after this guy? Is he going to take off on me or what? And then move the launch points. I think a lot of boots waggles, things of that nature, misdirection. With a quicker defense against quicker players, that's usually the route to go. So I expect to see a lot of that. It plays right into the Bears' hands.
Yeah, I mean, like you said, Trubisky can get out of the pocket and he can run, and I think that's definitely in the game plan. Where it's not like the Rams are going up against Tom Brady tonight, where they know that he's not going to rush. Mitch Trubisky is dangerous when, he can get out in the open field, and he is dangerous with his feet, whether it's undesigned runs or designed play calls on read option or stuff like that. And I wanted to circle back to your point about Nagy's offense and that, he hasn't, shown us everything he has. I'm sure he's got a couple plays up his sleeve tonight that, that no one has ever seen that, hopefully the Rams, catch on this or they bite on that. Last week was when we saw the Philly special. So, who knows what, we're going to see from tonight. And then, again, like you said, it all circles back to Mitch Trubisky. He's got to be the game manager. He's got to be the leader of the ship. And hopefully, he's well rested. His shoulders all ready to go, and he's got a healthy guys around him. Everyone's healthy, which has really been a huge story of the Bears season, is that we haven't lost any of our huge playmakers to IR like we have in the past seasons. And it is pretty. I mean, for the NFL, it is pretty remarkable that we're at this point in the season and we got everybody healthy. We missed some guys, missed some practices, but we dodged something with Hicks's Achilles. I thought that was going to be a problem, but he was off the injury report this week. Robinson and Mack got healthy after missing some games, but so I mean that's good in the Bears' favor that they're healthy and ready to go tonight.
Yeah, I mean you got to give them a lot of credit. They're seeing the forest before the trees. I mean, it's about the future, so they're smart. They knew when to rest these guys. If it meant not getting in the playoffs, that's fine. I was good with it too because this was supposed to be a rebuilding year. Now they're in the hunt. Expectations have risen, but I mean, with a high ankle sprain, he had Mack out there. I don't think that would have been a very good idea. I think it was smart to rest him. Same thing with Robinson. He had the ACL he's coming off of. It takes a while for that to get a player 100%. Next year he's going to even be better. So. Imagine that. Imagine a better Allen Robinson next year.
Jeez,
that's pretty nice thought. But I mean, I think it's smart for them to do this stuff. It was smart of them to rest Trubisky. A lot of people are pissed off about the Giants game, but it was a smart move to do. And the Bears should have won the game. That was totally on the Bears. It wasn't the Giants didn't beat them; they beat themselves. And I hate to say it sounded like a typical Homer Bear fan, but really not when you look at it. The Bears, they basically pissed that game away. And, so I think it still was the right move. It just, Daniel played poorly and the defense wasn't able to play like the defense should have played. I think it was more probably on the defense than Daniel last week. But, I mean, there's going to be like unscouted looks, like you said. And I'm sure the Rams are going to bring some in too. But, Rams are a little bit more predictable because they play the same formation all the time, whereas Nagy will mess with formations. It's Nagy's a little bit more creative, where McVay, he's more straight laced. They do a lot of things. They got a lot of good route concepts and things of that nature. They go downfield with the best of them. I think their key to their offense, why they're so explosive, is because of Todd Gurley. He's the key to everything. You got a guy like that. You're gonna be able to exploit the defense. You're gonna be able to move the defenses out of certain positions by sending them out in the flat or faking a handoff from under center on a play action going deep. A lot of it's got a lot of Martz elements to it. As a matter of fact, I know a lot of people are laughing at Mike Martz. Mike Martz And Olin Kreutz kind of defended him too. I was always a Mike Martz guy. I thought they failed to give him his personnel, but it wasn't really that antiquated. And he actually switched the offense up to fit Cutler. But that's a story for another day. But it's a lot like the Mike Martz offense, and Gurley kind of reminds me a little bit about how they used to use Marshall Faulk, to be honest. So. He drops back a lot of 7-step drops, so the Bears should be able to get home. I don't see them playing that quick game. It don't look like that's kind of Goff style. And I think maybe there's a little bit of an ego element in this, where McVay's not going to change his style to defeat the Bears. He's going to play his style, and I think that's another factor that fits into the Bears' favor. It's going to give the Bears a chance to get home and get Goff on the ground.
Yeah, like you said, 7-step drops. That's a long drop, and that's probably some pretty long routes. You're probably looking at post routes or fly routes, so it's long. It's a long developing play.
Mm-hmm.
I know I've been talking about a lot on the radio this week and a lot of stuff about matchups. So it's probably going to be Khalil Mack on the right tackle, Havenstein. I'd rather have him go against him than Whitworth at left tackle. So they'll probably put Floyd on the left. But I'd probably assume they'd switch it up. Why not put Mack against their best player to win the battle? We've seen now 2 weeks in a row Mack put a guy on his butt with just one hand. So I don't think no one's going to be able to contain him. But let's focus on the Rams now. Let's do a little stuff on them.
Okay.
Offense is pretty versatile. We know what Sean McVay can do. We know the players they got. Just going down the list. Gurley, Cooks, Woods. They lost Kupp to injury. He's not there, but they got Higbee.
Wood. They got
Woods,
Robert. What's that kid's name? Robertson, I think it is. That took over for
Josh Reynolds.
Reynolds.
Yeah, so they got
Reynolds.
He's up.
Yeah.
He's now playing instead of Kupp, and then of course the defense. Sue Donald is maybe one of the best two pairings next to what the Bears got in terms of interior tackles, and their secondary, when healthy, is pretty damn good. And I think they do have. I think they're all healthy and ready to go tonight. So, it speaks well for a good matchup, and we want to see competitive football. We don't want blowouts. We hope that the lights aren't too bright for the Bears, but they're going to have to keep Gurley in check, and they're going to have to keep Cooks in check down the field. We'll probably see the Bears, like Matt Bowen says all the time, the Bears play a lot of quarters coverage, a lot of two deep safeties to give the corners some help. But we have seen a lot of different coverages, a lot of robber coverages, especially with Eddie Jackson coming and picking off. That's where he's done some of his picks this year, is coming down and picking off some of those shallow routes because he reads the play so well.
Mm-hmm.
So, going to be a battle of the secondaries for sure.
Yeah, I mean, Jackson kind of missed one last week on that wide open touchdown on the Odell Beckham pass. He went after the guy on the boundary where Fuller had him there. He probably should have went to the middle, the guy was wide open. But on a trick play like that, it's going to happen sometimes, so you can't really fault him too much. But Jackson's been awesome. A single high safety, that cover 3 back there fits perfectly in what Fangio's trying to do. He covers a lot of ground. He's got a whole bunch of range. He had that one pick against the Cardinals. I want to say it's very much like Malik Hooker. I know when he was at Ohio State, did much the same thing, almost the exact same type of pass pattern, and the exact same pick where he came over all the way to the far right sideline and just basically beat the receiver to the ball on the long pass. He helps out. He'll help out with Brandon Cooks, as far as the big plays downfield. He's got that coverage, and the Bears cornerbacks could play a little more aggressive, their type of game. Amukamara is going to press. Callahan's going to play aggressive and press, and he's going to play off a little bit. And then Fuller, he plays mostly off and comes downhill and real good in trail technique. So I think that helps the Bears a lot against that juiced up offense of the Rams. Yeah, my biggest concern again is going to be a Gurley, and I'm hoping that Fangio learned a little bit of a lesson on the Patriots game because White he should have had Smith on White. I think has the athleticism, he has the speed to stay with these type of backs, and when they do go man, when they man up, I hope he doesn't drop his own stuff like he did against Brady where he dropped both Floyd and Mack at times and had three men rushing. I didn't like that at all.
No.
And then he sent Trevathan in on a late gap blitz for the fourth guy. But I do like that element of it. But dropping both of your pass rushers, I don't think that's the way to go. Just ran up Roquan Smith. He gets beat, he gets beat. Whatever, you put your best athletes and then you adjust from there. But Gurley, nobody's going to truly stop him, but I think he can neutralize him a little bit. So Roquan Smith, he was really good in coverage at Alabama. That was one of his traits. Where he could play the line of scrimmage and he could play back in coverage, man or in zone. He's a real smart kid. And I'm hoping that they make that adjustment this week. I hope they have Roquan Smith kind of shadowing Gurley when he's out on routes.
Yeah, I mean, that's coming out of the draft. He was not just known for his tackling and getting sideline to sideline, but for his coverage. And the Bears have given him some shot to play coverage. But I think tonight is a perfect example where you ramp it up. Get him on Gurley, get him on Woods, get him on Reynolds in the slot. Put him in the best position to win. That's part of Fangio's job. And yeah, I didn't like that when back in a couple weeks ago when Fangio had Mack and Floyd dropping into coverage. We've seen Floyd a little bit in coverage. He has some pass breakups and he's got a long frame, so he can he can disrupt some shallow routes out there. But I'd rather see him getting after the passer. I thought last week that that one sack on Manning that NFL matchup featured. Just his speed off the edge. I know it's been a down year for him in terms of sacks, but he's been pretty stout against the run game, and I think it's all about matchups and getting those twists and stunts on the D-line that you can open him up. Mack might not need as much stunt or twist as Floyd does because Mack has just so much power. But if you can get Floyd matched up on somebody or get him to go at the quarterback with a free run, that's even better.
Yeah, I mean, that's one of the things I liked about Floyd coming out was the fact that he's good on them stunts. When I watched him out of Georgia, he was really, really good with that. And I thought him and Bullard was good at that. So I thought him and Bullard would make a good team. But Bullard's kind of underperformed a little bit. I mean, he's been an okay player, but not to my expectation level. The guy I'm really excited about is Bilal Nichols. And I think he could be a big factor in this game, too, when they rotate him in. For Goldman to give Goldman a blow, and perhaps Hicks, although Hicks almost plays every snap. But I love that kid. He compared himself to Fletcher Cox. He may not be quite there yet, but he does he has similar traits. He's got some ways to go, but he's got similar traits. He's quick. He's aggressive off the ball. He's got good lower body leverage. He splits double teams really well. He's got to maybe learn to use his hands a little bit better. Things you got to learn, coming into the NFL from the lower levels. He didn't quite have the top-notch coaching and play against the top-notch competition in practice, too. That's where the biggest thing is. It's not necessarily in-game. It's who you're playing in practice that actually develops your skills when you're in a college level. And when you're playing for a big program, you're going up against guys on the other side that are going to be in the pros too every day. So, he'll learn that. He'll develop it. I'm really excited for him. And he doesn't make a lot of flash plays, though. So I think Fangio's using him just right. He's putting him in just the right amount, putting him in positions to succeed. And I think it's working out really well for the Bears. That's a great pick.
Yeah, I mean, I like what I've seen from Nichols so far, and a guy who could develop into a starter, but he's got guys like Goldman ahead of him and Hicks, and they're trying to get the best out of Bullard and Roy Robinson Harris. So if you're using Nichols, one play a series, he has a chance to be, he can catch his breath, and he's got a chance to really, create a pile there at the line of scrimmage and get to the quarterback. Another thing with Roquan Smith we didn't talk about is ability to get to the quarterback too. We'll
Right.
definitely see Smith get to the quarterback on design blitzes. Fangio's always good for a Bryce Callahan blitz off the edge every game, and it
Mhm.
always comes at a time where the other team is not expecting it. Callahan does a pretty good job at setting that up. But we know Fangio overall is a pretty conservative DC, so it's not like we're going to be blitzing crazy. But
Right.
I think if the Bears time it up, we might see a blitz early. Might see a blitz, when it's I guess maybe close in points, maybe a third and short, something like that. But I think Fangio's going to throw in the blitzes at the right time.
Right. He's been dialing up some really good blitz schemes this year. It's improved. That was one of the things that I was upset about with Fangio the past couple of years. I guess he didn't trust his guys, but my point was always like, well, if you got less talent, don't have him sit back there and die by 1,000 cuts. Maybe be more unconventional. Maybe he can surprise some guys, or maybe take advantage of some of their skill sets. Everybody's a pro. Everybody's good. When you're in a pro, you're good. You're there for a reason. You have the skill to succeed at the level. And he was working up, but this year he's dialing up a lot more blitzes. I think his blitz percentage is up. I'm not sure. I'm just going off the top of my head because it seems like there's been more. It's been more successful anyway. I love Roquan Smith. That's one of the things I liked him coming out of the draft is he is an excellent blitzer. I think he had 6 sacks and many pressures when he was at Georgia. So, I mean, I think that they ought to just play their game. The defense ought to just play the way they play, dictate the action instead of having the Rams dictate to them. Of course, you're going to have to make a concession here or there. You're going to have to adjust here or there. But I think the Bears have the matchup, especially in the front seven. I think we can exploit that middle of the line, the 3 interior linemen. I think that's where we'll have the advantage. And I'd like to see a lot of stunts with the delayed A gap blitz, the green zone blitz they call it. So I mean, I'd like to see a lot more of that. Gervais is actually pretty good at that as well. So I think that could be a good scheme. Goff is not very mobile. Send pressure up the middle. I thought that's where he dropped the ball in the Green Bay game when Rodgers was hurt and he was clearly immobile. I thought they should have sent more A gap pressure, but he played more conservatively. A lot of three line rushes and mainly conventional 4-man rushes in that game. And same thing with Brady. Brady's not very mobile, and I thought they could have done better as far as scheming, driving up the middle. And same thing with Osweiler. So I think they dropped the ball in those 3 games, 3 losses, but I think they ought to just play their game. I want to see a lot of A gap pressure, just like you were talking about with Smith. I think he fits perfectly with that. And you got to be careful because while you're doing that, they could go ahead and drop one over your head and into Gurley's hands, and it could go 90 yards the other way. But be disciplined, I think, but also be aggressive and definitely go right into the face of Goff because he's not very mobile. He's not very good laterally, and he's not known for his mobility back there. He can move a little bit. I've seen him make some plays outside the pocket on the run and some planned boots and waggles, but he doesn't do a whole lot of that, and I don't think that's really his game.
No, I think it is going to be a huge matchup in the front seven for both sides. We always say at the high school level and probably wherever level you are, it's the game's won in the trenches.
Mm-hmm.
Who's going to get off the ball? Who's going to get some movement? Who's going to get off blocks? Who's going to make their blocks, et cetera, et cetera. And it's really hard to find weakness on both of these defenses.
Mm-hmm.
But I really think, especially with the Rams losing Ogletree at the inside linebacker spot,
Right.
they got Barron and Littman. Corey Littman's been pretty good this year. He's hovering around 100 tackles, but I think the Bears guards can get up to those backers. I think Howard can break some runs, and it'll be interesting to see how much they use Cohen inside the tackles too. He's a bit of a smaller guy. Really haven't used him a lot. Inside the tackles, it's not like he's like Christian McCaffrey, who's got a little more muscle on him, a little bit bigger bigger frame. But we saw Cohen last week in the passing game. He had, it had to be, what was it? He had close to, what was it, 16 receptions or something like that?
12. 12
12,
out of
yeah.
14 targets and like 189 yards or 186 yards or something like that.
So 16 was a bit high, but 12, 12 is pretty good.
Yeah.
And you can't, I don't remember a pass he caught that wasn't effective. He was pretty effective during the whole game. So, again, it'll be interesting to see if he can get used inside the tackles. But, his big thing is stretch and reverse and getting to the edge. And, we've seen that he can reverse field and he can bend it back on zone. So it's going to be interesting to see how all the running backs are used, including Mizzle. And, Cunningham, I think, when you're looking at pass protection, I think Cunningham's the best guy on the team in pass protection. I know last year they used him a lot in 2-minute drill. So it's not like I'm saying he's going to get any carries or any dump offs or checkdowns, but I think we could see him a lot in the 2-minute drill.
Perhaps. We haven't seen a lot of that this year, but I just want to go back to something you were saying as far as the inside run game. I've been looking at some of the plays and some of the tape. If you could call it tape, I guess video would be more appropriate. I think vision is a problem with both Cohen and Howard. I see a lot of plays. There's this one clear play, I think it was against the Vikings, as a matter of fact, where there was this huge hole to the A gap to his left. He chose to run right into a middle linebacker that would have went for a huge play. It was literally a hole the size of 5 defensive linemen lined up in a row. And same thing with Tariq Cohen. It seems like Tariq Cohen, his first move is to bounce it outside, then look inside. And then by the time he looks inside, it's too late. The hole closed up, and then he just bounces around and runs around. Like that one play where he ran all the way to the right sideline and reverse field and came back and got like a 4-yard gain all the way on the left sideline. Originally, he had a big hole right in the A gap. All he had to do was just cut and drive. Maybe maybe he doesn't want to do it. Maybe he doesn't want to take the contact because he's a smaller guy or whatever. But I'm seeing vision is a problem, and Howard a lot he's actually blown a lot of those plays. I know he's been getting hit behind the line a lot, but I think a lot of that's got to be his own. There's a little bit of his own doing as far as getting stalled at the line of scrimmage because he's picking the wrong holes. He's reading the wrong. He's reading the wrong blocks. He's going the wrong holes. He's going actually into a congested area as opposed to where the hole is. So I don't know why that is. He seemed to be pretty good on inside zone. Maybe I need to go back and look on the film in 08 and 09. Not 08. In 17 and 16 and see what he did. As far as maybe he might have missed holes, then I just didn't notice it because he was getting a lot of good gains. But this year it seems like he's missing a lot of the holes, and I know definitely Tariq Cohen for sure. So I think that's one of the things that the Bears need to scout in their next running back is someone who's got great vision and someone who can actually, they play that inside-outside zone. You've got to be able to read, plant, and drive, kind of like a Matt Forte used to do, and just hit that hole, gone, as opposed to dancing around back there trying to look for the turn it to the outside, go inside, then turn to the outside. If nothing's there, I think probably is the way to go.
Yeah, Howard's first 2 seasons in the league, I spoke very highly of his vision. I thought, he fit the zone scheme perfectly. In the zone scheme, he got 3 options of bang, bounce, or bend. And I thought he did pretty well executing all of those 3 options. So this year has been a little weird in seeing his, obviously a production decrease. But then again, we see, sometimes he shot himself in the foot, whether it's fumbling versus Miami, or again, like you say, you're not seeing the holes. They're going back on tape and they're like, Howard's not getting it, so why are we going to put him out there? A lot of, he's been cut out a lot of the game planning too because he's not that big of a pass catcher. But, I think this year, he made a great effort to get his hands better. And, almost everything that's been thrown to him, he's caught. They're not, big wheel routes like Cohen, but, if there's small checkdowns or, 3rd and short, he's run a lot of flat routes that have been pretty effective for him. Get, maybe a little confidence boost there. But, yeah, I thought Howard, he ran okay last week. There were some times where he did see the hole. There was a couple plays I remember where he he bented it to the other side of the zone, so he got some big plays there.
Mm-hmm.
But I mean, I really want to get the run game going because it's going to open up the pass game. And the Rams got pretty damn good secondary. But we have the guys to complement it with Robinson, Gabriel, Miller, Shaheen. Shaheen's going to be. I think we could see Shaheen a little bit more, especially in the middle of the field. I mean, he's got a big body. Just lob it up to him.
Right.
Huge in the red zone for sure.
Right.
But I think the Bears just can't be all pass. There's a lot of games this year where they've gone too heavy on the pass, whether Matt Nagy's trying to get cute or the run game's just not working. But tonight's a perfect example with a Rams defense that's given up over 5 yards a carry, that you get it going early and often, and you could really set yourself up for the rest of the game.
Right. And going back to Howard actually does have very good hands. He's got real soft hands. It's just when he has to adjust to the ball, you have to kind of throw him the perfect ball. He can't like the one play where he was getting a pass out in the flat and he had to adjust to it a little bit. It was right in his hands and he dropped it because it was a little bit over his head. He seems a bit like a stiff athlete, He doesn't have them swivel hips. And I think it's more so this year for some reason. I don't know if it's because of his conditioning or gained some weight. Maybe he's dealing with an injury that we don't know about. That's a possibility too. We might find out at the end of the year he's having surgery to repair something. So, you just see it with him. He's different. He's moving differently than he did the last couple of years, especially his rookie year. His rookie year, he seemed real explosive through the hole, and he seemed much faster than people were thinking he was. And before you know it, he was 20 yards into the secondary. And then guys were just trying to hold on for dear life and bring him down. But he just doesn't seem to be moving as well. And as far as the vision thing is concerned, I don't know. Maybe it's the way they're running the scheme. Maybe there's some subtle differences in there that we're not aware of. Maybe maybe it's the lineman. Daniels. He just was inserted. He's looking good, but you don't know exactly what's going on there. Perhaps maybe he's making some of the wrong plays there as well. That Jordan's anticipating he's going to do something. He does something else. Howard's gone. Long is gone too. So that obviously makes a huge difference. When you go from Long to Witzman, it's, you might as well put me at right guard, and then put me up against Sue, because Witzman's been nothing but a sieve. And there's a reason why he was let go. And actually, I would like to see Cush get some snaps at right guard. I think he'd be a better matchup for Sue, too, because Sue generally plays that side, and Donald generally plays the right side. And that's the most intriguing matchup, by the way, for me in this game. The one I'm probably going to watch the most is James Daniels with that big ass of his and athleticism going up against Aaron Donald, who's another massive low leg guy. He's got great lower leverage and to go with extremely quickness. It's almost like they're kind of mirror each other in skill trait. And it's going to be interesting to see what's up because Daniels does have the athleticism. I don't think maybe he's got probably the experience, to go up against him single-handedly. He's going to get a lot of help as he should, but I'm still going to see how the kid holds up. I'm very intrigued with Daniels, and I think he's a future Pro Bowler too, by the way.
Yeah, it'd be nice to see him make the Pro Bowl for sure. Maybe I don't know if first rookie team is out the window, but you never know for him.
Yeah, it's possible.
Yeah,
although it's stiff competition with Nelson, so
yeah, for sure. He's got it was a pretty good guard class, pretty good O-line class.
It was. So interior line was really good this year. Yes.
Yeah, so he's got some guys ahead of him, but you never know. I wanted to circle back to your Witzman point. I think we could see Cush again. If you're not doing your job versus Ndamukong Suh or Aaron Donald, you deserve to be on the bench. You got to be able to handle him. And it's not like Cush has been a world beater this year either. He's had some rough stuff on tape. But maybe it's not the worst idea, especially in the cold, going up against two elite guys for the Rams. Then why not rotate him? Heck, maybe even James Daniels, if he struggles a little bit, why not mix and match? So it's a strength that the Bears have, that they have the ability to rotate some guys.
Right. Yeah, and I think he just matched up better on the right guard position, the power side of the field. He's to me, Cush is more of a power guy. That's why I didn't say. I don't know. To me, Long was always on the wrong side of the line. I thought he's a left-hander. He's played on the left side out of college. It seemed natural to move him over to the left side. Originally, I wanted him to be a left tackle, especially when he had the turnstiles that we had the past few years before they got Leno, and Leno was a revelation as a seventh rounder. But I thought that moving on the left guard was probably the natural move, but maybe perhaps because with the injuries, come off the injuries and everything, he wasn't moving as well. And they put Cush there. But, I think Cush, he profiles better on the right side, the power side, along with Massey. And by the way, Massey's had a really good year, man. I've been watching him, and I hated the signing at first, and I hated his performance, and I was a huge critic of his. I mean, huge. I mean, you talk about hater, that's me, Massey hater. But I love him this year. He's playing really good, and I got to give credit where credit is due. I think Heastand did an outstanding job with him.
Heastand effect for sure.
Yeah, I mean, his feet are a lot better. I mean, he's getting in front of speed. Before, speed would just beat him. That was it. You had anybody with any kind of speed or quickness, he was done. Yeah. This year, he's actually getting out in front of these guys, and he's countering their inside move off of that. So I think he's actually got a chance to be a Pro Bowler. I don't think he will, because it's a name type of award, if you want to call it.
Yeah, it's a name-driven league.
A name nominated by name only. So I don't think he'll make it, but he definitely has played Pro Bowl level right tackle.
Yeah, I mean, you could definitely credit Harry Heastand for getting Massey a lot better. I'm sure they sat down multiple times and looked at the bad tape and got better on that. Coming into the season, we all thought right tackle was the biggest need on the team, and it's what probably maybe the top of the 2019 draft needs. But it would be pretty nice if we were to get Massey back at a reasonable price, where we don't have to make tackle so much of a need.
Well, I think, I'm sorry, I hate to interrupt, but I think he's gone. I think they're going to save money. They're going to bring Coward in. I loved Coward when I saw Coward. I think Coward's your future right tackle, and I like that move. The kid's smart. He's aggressive, and he's huge. They're going to save some money there instead of paying, millions to a veteran that might be on the downside of his career, maybe having a one good year. You never know what happens after he gets paid, what's going to happen. I think there's let him walk and put Coward in there. I think right guard's probably where you have to look. They say Long might be back. Now there's optimism. He might be back week 17 if they need him for the playoffs. If he's healthy, if they don't need him on week 17. But I think you're just taking way too big of a chance if you're bringing Long back. I mean, he's been injured every year for the past 4 years now, and missing significant time. And, that hurts the development of your offensive line, because offensive line, as you know, is one chain. Yep. Each player representing a link. And you're only strong as your weakest link. And, they've got to develop a continuity together, and with Long in and out, and I think that might have a little bit of a factor as to what Howard is going through, because they've had a lot of rotation on the interior line. So don't think that doesn't make a difference. It does. So everything affects everything else. It's a domino effect. And football is the ultimate team game. All 11 guys have a role. Like I was listening to an interview. I hate to get off the tracks here, but I was listening to an interview they had on Hogan John's podcast, which I love. I love those guys. They do a great job. And they had Mike Furry on, and he was talking about Miller and about how the wide receiver corps got to play as a unit. And Miller was not disciplined in his routes, and he would cause like some incompletions and even an interception or two, because he wouldn't stick to the route where he's running a route to basically move somebody out of there to open it up for Robinson. And he's thinking about himself. Oh, what am I going to do to get open and make a play? And he actually screwed it up by doing that. So, it's things like that they're learning. Remember, this team is just starting out. This is not the finished product. They're going to get better. Miller's going to be better. Gabriel's going to be better in this offense. I mean, whoever they get to come in next year from either college or free agency is going to help them to be better. And the offensive line is going to be better. And Nagy's going to be a better play caller and et cetera, et cetera. So, that's what's so exciting about this offense is what they're doing now. And they're running like what, maybe a third of their playbook,
Yeah.
maybe. And I think I'm being optimistic with that amount. So, so there's a lot more to come here. Bear fans just need to be a little bit more patient. They need to understand what's going on before them. And, good things are going to happen. This offense is going to be really good. It's going to click. And you're going to see more of it starting next year than you are this year. This year, it's getting incrementally better, and it's good to see Trubisky getting incrementally better. You saw from the first game to now, totally different player. He's got a lot more understanding of the offense right now. You can see it. You can see the way he runs it, the way he runs his huddles, the way he makes his calls at the line. He's just a more confident kid. Because he understands the concepts more now, and he's learning more and more of the plays. So it's just exciting stuff. I think we got a lot of exciting days ahead from the Bears offense.
Just a quick side note here for NFL wise. Cowboys just beat the Eagles in overtime. Game-winning touchdown by no other than Amari Cooper. He has now 6 touchdowns with the Cowboys this year in 6 games. What an addition that's been for the Cowboys.
I wanted Cooper. I was ready to give up another first round for that guy, or the second rounder. But yeah, I mean, he's made a difference. The Cowboys are hot, man. I mean, I'm happy for Marinelli because he's a really good coach. And, after they brought him in, because Lovey, I was not a fan of Lovey. I think everything went to crap after Lovey took over. And they brought in Marinelli to help him out, and then they got good again. So, I love Marinelli. He's a real good coach. I'm happy for him. That defense is really good. Those 2 linebackers, oh, my God, so fun to watch. Real happy for Jalen Smith, man. Good kid. Tough break in that bowl game where, just broke your heart. And, it's just good to see that kid, come up and get what he deserves. You know what I'm saying? Because he's a good kid. He deserves to have a lot of success. And he deserves everything he gets. Good kid, great player, plays hard. And that other kid, Van Der Esch, oh, my God. That's a great combination right there.
Yeah, I mean, I really wasn't that high on Van Der Esch coming into the draft just as a player as a whole. But then, I've turned on the tape this year, and he's, the comparison was Brian Urlacher, and I definitely see a little bit of Urlacher in him.
Right. Size and speed-wise, he's got a lot of the same traits. And, he's white, blonde hair.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, you see a little bit of that. Yeah, a little bit of his game. I think Kuechly is more Urlacher, but even though physically the physical stature isn't the same, he's more short and squatty, but he plays more like Urlacher in my opinion. Very good in coverage. I don't know what happened to the Panthers too. That's another story. He lost 5 in a row now.
Yep.
Ooh, Chico, he's going down, man. I'm a Chico guy too. I'm obviously rooting for Chico to do well, but man, if they miss out on the playoffs, I don't see them surviving this.
No. All right. So as we lead up to the final minutes of 7 o'clock, me and Johnny got to get ready for the Bear game. Last thing here, Johnny, you can start on this one. What's your key to the game? Key to the Bears win?
Well, I think the key is, I already said it. It's Donald and Gurley. Donald on defense, Gurley on offense. Obviously, that's not a revelation, but I do think that Trubisky, the way they use Trubisky, is going to be the key to this game because he could really throw a monkey wrench into the works for those guys. I think they're going to play zone. I do. I think they're going to play a lot of zone. There's going to be, to offset that, because you've got to have eyes on Mitch. If you got your back turned and Mitch takes off, that's 30 yards down the field. So I think they're going to adjust to that. They may have a spy on them. So I think it's going to be important for the Bears receivers to be disciplined in their routes. Discipline in their routes, kind of like what I was talking about with Miller, trying to improvise and make himself open. Run what you're supposed to run, kid. And so because there's gonna be spots in the zones that are open. When he plays zone, there's an open spot in the field automatically because you can't cover the entire field. It's a big field. So if they go to the right spots and take what the defense gives them in the zone, and then take a shot downfield, maybe on some broken coverages, maybe some confusion and with verbal communications, maybe Tariq Cohen gets down there up a seam or something. But and Trubisky's accuracy, because he's got to be accurate in the zone. I think how he plays in the beginning of the game is going to be key. Hopefully they keep a nice, easy game plan in place. Maybe let him hit a couple of short ones. Maybe get his accuracy down. Recalibrate his accuracy system, and then that'll be the key, in my opinion, is how the Bears run their routes in the zones, because I think they're going to play zone and a lot of zone, and how accurate Mitch Trubisky is throwing the ball, coming off of 2 weeks of not playing.
Yeah. There could be a lot of keys for me, containing Gurley, containing Donald, but the big key for me, I think, is just win up front. I really think if the Bears can get the run game going early, that can set them up for success for the rest of the game.
Right. Yeah. I mean, their game is passing, right? And if they're running the ball, then that's going to be a double-edged sword for the Rams. So.
Yeah. Was talking to some people earlier, so my official prediction for tonight is Bears 31, Rams 30.
Ooh, close one. Yeah. No, I got the Bears in a little bit of an easier one. I think it's going to be tight all the way to the end, like a 3-point lead. And the Bears are going to get the ball, and they're going to run the clock, and they're going to get a late touchdown with like seconds left on the board, and then win 34-24.
I like it. I like that. Just that we're even sitting here talking about the Bears possibly beating the Rams. If the Bears played the Rams last year, I don't think we would have hopped on for a pregame show. So, Johnny, thanks for hopping on. Hopefully, we can do more of these post game or Bears talks in the future, buddy.
Yeah, this was fun, man. I love talking Bears, man. I'll talk Bears to anybody, anywhere, anytime, for any reason.
For sure. Thanks to all the listeners for tuning in. We'll see you next time. Go Bears.
Peace.